The coalition's military machine was built on an unbreakable creed, vigilance, duty, and absolute loyalty to the order laid down in the Octus Canon. Every gear swore to abandon their previous life, to become a single, essential cog within the vast engine of the coalition. Their promise was simple but chillingly absolute: I am a gear. And beneath that oath stood four pillars of power: the Army, the Navy, the Air Corps, and the Engineering Corps, each one feeding the war effort that defined generations on Sera. Before the Pendulum Wars, the gear soldier already existed as a hardened symbol of discipline. But once the 79-year conflict erupted, the CGO mobilized millions. Infantry became the central instrument of strategy: standardiers fighting trench-to-street battles, shock troopers specializing in breaching operations, long-range marksmen embedded across the front, and elite commando units capable of sabotage and deep infiltration. Armored divisions deployed vehicles like the Centaur, Armadillo APCs, and pack horse transports, while engineering battalions handled fortifications, demolitions, and rapid construction under fire. Aircraft such as the King Raven, Corvus, and Tern provided reconnaissance, fire support, and extraction, acting as the lifeline of every infantry push. Yet political leaders consistently favored ground forces over naval and aerial expansion. The Army was seen as the soul of the coalition; everything else was auxiliary. During the Pendulum era, the Air Corps became indispensable despite chronic underfunding. Their aircraft delivered troops across archipelagos, escorted convoys, and struck critical UIR positions. Still, debates raged within the government. Commanders like General Jod Lombard argued that rotary-wing aircraft should dominate tactical doctrine, dismissing fixed-wing programs as expensive luxuries. His stance shaped CGO funding for decades. Recruitment also reflected the coalition's priorities. Young men and women joined not merely out of patriotism but to find structure, belonging, or escape. As Colonel Gail Barrington once explained, the military offered what many had never known at home: rules, purpose, and a family forged under hardship. When the Locust emerged on Emergence Day, the CGO Army was exhausted, its veterans lost to attrition, and its command structure fractured. Cities fell faster than any doctrine predicted. Infantry divisions, already stretched thin, were forced into desperate urban warfare. Veterans fought alongside recruits, retirees, and even convicts, all wearing the same armor because the alternative was extinction. The Air Corps again became a pillar of survival. King Ravens provided overwatch, evacuation, and airborne firepower during battles like Landon and Elima, though many aircraft were ripped from the sky by creatures no tactician had ever conceived. Meanwhile, Navy assets like the Raven's Nest carrier and Labina-class submarines operated behind the scenes, conducting covert transport and long-range reconnaissance. When Jacinto fell, the remnants of the coalition regrouped on Vex. The Air Corps shifted to patrol, counterinsurgency, and humanitarian missions, keeping scattered settlements alive. Once the Lambent plague escalated, the Air Corps became crucial for mass evacuations, yet their numbers dwindled as fuel, spare parts, and pilots ran out. Aboard the CNV Sovereign, the last organized aerial units fought to defend refugees spread across the coasts. King Ravens launched constant rescue and delivery missions, but the front was simply too vast. When the Sovereign was ultimately destroyed, the surviving aviators regrouped on the Hanover coast, their remaining aircraft barely operational. Still, the infantry endured. Light infantry squads secured ruins and supply corridors. Heavy infantry armed with mulchers and troikas anchored defensive lines. Grenadier and breaching teams cleared tunnels, while reconnaissance scouts tracked Locust movements miles ahead of the main force. Each role became essential as the CGO learned to adapt to an enemy who could strike anywhere, from beneath the ground to the skies. After the Lambent War, the surviving fragments of these branches formed the backbone of the Reconstruction era and later the Swarm Crisis. Though diminished, the doctrines, tactics, and sacrifices of the Pendulum and Locust Wars shaped every military decision for the next generation. The coalition learned the hard way that wars are not won by one branch alone, but by the coordination of land, sea, air, and engineering forces working as a single, relentless machine. And even in the darkest hours, one truth remained: the heart of the CGO was always the gear on the ground, helmet scarred, rifle humming, and oath unbroken.